tier list, tier list, tier list, tier list, tier list, tier list. So we're back with another tier list. As you may know, a brand new update came to Rush on the 1st of October, introducing a whole bunch of brand new cards to the game. And I decided that I would make a tier list going over which of these cards are the best, which are the quote-unquote worst, and which just aren't there yet. In front of me, we have our tiers. We have meta playable, aka the deck just starts straight off right there competing with the meta. Rogue, a completely perfectly fine playable deck that is probably not going to win any tournaments, but you could play it if you wanted to. Following that is has potential. Those are just the decks that are just missing some pieces. Cards we know that exist in Rush that just didn't make their way to Duel Links, and maybe they also just don't really have a skill, so we can't really, you know. And finally, our last tier is meme. These decks are just a little funny. Not really good, but they are funny. Now, what better way to start off our tier list than with the brand new type Galaxy? We had 2 new Galaxy decks introduced into the game, and they did a little funny thing here where they put a card that's very important that you need 3 of for Galaxy in the structure deck, which is part of the secondary Galaxy deck, as I'll call it. Why don't we start with that one then? We have Gray Storm Reverie. So this guy is the face of the structure deck. He's not the card you're opening it for. You're opening it for the 1600 attacker that comes inside, whose name is escaping me at the moment. But you end up with 3 of this guy, and he kind of has his own gameplay style it's pretty much just like a knock on aggro, like Dragon aggro. His effect is very similar to Dragios with restrictions. Can you believe that? They printed another Dragios with restrictions that's just worse than Dragios. Gray Storm Reverie, Gray Storm Reverie, Gray Storm V Reverie, Gray Storm Nova Aokami goes into the Rogue tier. It's real, like, I'm putting it in Rogue because that's where I would put out. I would call this kind of low Rogue, you know? Every other deck I put in Rogue is probably going to be put in front of this deck. Just saying. Now, our other Galaxy deck that focuses on Galactica Oblivion is meta playable. Now, what exactly is the difference between Galactica Oblivion and the other Galaxy deck? Well, our friend here, Gray Storm, is limit 3. Now, you might be saying, oh, well, yeah, so that's so you can't play him in the same deck as Dragios or Bright Eyes and have those kinds of restrictions. As well, that comes with the restriction that you cannot play another brand new card in that deck, which is Secret Order. I'm gonna bring up Secret Order on screen right now, so you should be seeing it. This card is also limit 3, and it is insane. It is a crazy powerful card, and the Light Galaxy deck that Galactica Oblivion belongs to is crazy, and the skill needs Secret Order, and you want 3 Secret Order. So because one deck gets Secret Order and the other deck doesn't, that is the pure difference between why one's really good and one is kind of bad. Next up, we have an entry to the meme tier. This is a Musi Howling Performer, and people are kind of playing her as a little bit in Psychics. Psychics has next to no synergy with her. She doesn't really do much on her own. She's just a fusion of 2 Psychic cards that sometimes see play in Psychics. She doesn't do anything. It's a meme. She doesn't really do anything. There's no synergy with fusion. There's no synergy with this card and the rest of the deck. This card basically has no effect. She's just if fusion worked like OG Poly, yeah, sure, she could be good, but it doesn't. And they can't search fusion. They can't search our pieces. It overall just does not do anything but drag down the Psychic Candy deck. Next up, we have Imaginary Reactor. And he's here representing the deck that has a very hard name to pronounce. He's representing Metarion, and I'm putting them in has potential. Why? Well, because we already know that a new character who plays this deck is on their way, and there's so many more cards that they are literally just missing that didn't get added into Rush. That's kind of what's holding them back. It's also the fact that they don't have any skills or anything, so it's another deck where the pieces are unsearchable. It has a lot of really strong cards, but it's missing so much that we know is coming. That's, you know, why we're putting in potential instead of anything else. It's fine. It's not good. It's fine, but it will be better soon. Next up, we have the Blue Fang Burst Dragon. Now, this is a very tough one to place. It's another limit 3 card, which I can laser in exactly what they're doing by limiting this to 3. This card is very powerful. This card alone is very powerful. There's not really a inherent deck that you want to build with this guy. Even the skills that have to do with him are kind of generic. They don't really do anything crazy. Not really anything you want, to be honest. But Blue Fang itself is a really good splash. I was actually testing it in Monarchs, and I'm going to make a video on this deck because I think the deck's really interesting and has somewhere it can go. It's kind of at the same level as the Blue Eyes Bright Eyes deck when you mix it with the Monarchs cards. That's why Blue Fang gets to go into Rogue, because in a deck where you just replace the Blue Eyes Bright Eyes cards with Blue Fang and some other generic dragon cards, it's actually pretty dang good. Very, very, very strong when you're just dealing with what is essentially Raigeki on legs sometimes. I forgot I was supposed to put everything in front of the Galaxy guy. Next up, we got Heroes. And if you are not familiar, just the other day from this video being recorded, I posted a brand new video all about Hero. It's called Rush Rundown, where I go card by card on my deck list for Hero, and I give you some examples of games. You could say it's a bit of a testing, but it wasn't 10 minutes. Anyway, Hero I'm putting in Rogue. Now, this is the deck I've played the most since the update, and it does kind of feel weird putting this in Rogue when I really like it, but the power level difference between Hero in its current state and the other decks I plan on putting in meta playable is really, really large. That's like, for me, Hero is the top of Rogue. Hero is the deck closest from going from Rogue to meta. So we're just kind of leave them there for now. Hopefully in the future, when we get more cards, maybe like Sparkman and Clayman, and we have a little more, some more tools, maybe then Hero could go higher, but in its current state, it is Rogue at best. Now, I don't mean to scare you. This is not Block Dragon. This is Jointech Rex. And he is representing Earth Machine. No trains here, unfortunately. This is pure Earth Machine, baby, and has potential. The problem with this Earth Machine deck is that the cards don't do very much. There's a lot of big guys that do things, but they don't synergize. Even Jointech himself is literally MST on legs. Let's go. My unenthusiastic let's go aside, I would consider this deck more if it had something like a skill that was actually good. The skills are all pretty bad. They're like big either do nothing turbo or like, oh boy, 500 attack, 300 attack, woo, And at the end of it all, it doesn't really help you out much with like the actual join. The join texts don't do anything together. Most of the ones added to the game are literally just the vanillas. We don't have the stuff yet. So maybe it can do something more in the future. I'm hoping that they release like some actual cards in the future that actually do things, and maybe it can go from has potential to rogue. I don't know, we'll find out in the future. Next up, we have Hyper Strike Dragon Dragiastar F, and this is representing Dragon Aggro. 2 more years. Has Russian been out for 2 years or 1 year? I don't remember. Every year, Dragon Aggro. Rogue. Guess what? That's where Dragon Aggro goes. That's where Dragon Aggro is. That's where Dragon Aggro goes. This guy is pretty good. He's good in the deck. Dragon Aggro is still good. It's still fine. If you want to argue with me, you can call it good, you can call it fine. I like it. It's nice. It just works. Dragias is really strong. And this guy is just Dragias with a little more upside. And they have a brand new skill that is pretty cool. We have Sevens Paladin, and he is representing spellcasters. Nothing too crazy, just spellcasters. I think spellcasters is meta. I became a really big spellcaster believer after the official Konami events. Seeing spellcasters kind of clean up in the pure deck variant blew my mind. I thought Max Overload was like the deck for spellcasters. Completely wrong. Completely wrong. Sevens Excel Road spellcasters was pretty damn good, and now this deck gets a brand new skill that lets you get out the fusion. You know, searches fusion, searches the material. Exactly what these decks need for this update. And Sevens Paladin himself is pretty damn good. He's just better Sevens Road. I'm calling this deck as meta. You're going to see this deck decent amount. I'm not going to say a lot. There's a very good reason you're not going to see a lot of this deck. I think it's pretty good. You should consider it if you're considering decks to play. Next up. Miss Mutton. So Miss Mutton is also kind of just like a generic beast deck, which is, it's okay. I'm putting it in meme because she is just kind of just funny. The cards are decent. The problem is, 1, no skill. There is no skill for the deck, which immediately puts it at a disadvantage compared to everything else. 2, a lot of limits. A lot of limit 1, limit 2 cards in this deck, which screws up a whole lot. And 3, the payoff for the deck isn't great. The main game plan for the deck is to have Meat and Greed to target Miss Mutton to give her 3 attacks and an attack boost, but that's 3 attacks on monsters, so you can't really kill your opponent with that. So you're kind of just turboing into a 2500 beat stick who then just dies to let me count up actually. How many of these decks just kill her on the spot after you end on just Miss Mutton here? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 of the other brand new decks just completely wash this. So she gets meme tier. Maybe there'll be more beast support in the future. We do have like other generic beast cards that are pretty good, like Beast Summoner and some other stuff. So maybe those can do something for the deck. Maybe there's something I'm missing with the current beast cards in Rush that I just don't see. But as I see it now, she's just not great. She'll just sit here and meme tier. Maybe she'll be better in the future. Who knows? I can't see it. That's why she's meme and not has potential. Anyway, so I did a lot of yapping. I did a lot of talking. And a lot of it was to avoid one thing. I think we might be in a tier 0 format. I think it is very likely we are in a tier 0 format because Oh my god, is Cyber Dragon insane. I can't even describe it properly. Cyber Dragon is a whole nother level compared to everything else. One, Cyber Dragon itself is so good for going second. And going second is already absurdly strong in Rush. Cyber Dragon just makes it even better. The skill, pumping Cyber Dragon, is insane. Getting Fusion, getting the prototype, it's crazy. And then the tribute, the one drops, just one dropping over Cyber Dragon, one dropping over prototype is insane. Not to mention, Cyber Twin is such a house. Double attacking with no restriction because it's OG Cyber Twin is crazy. He's 2800. You know how hard it is to get over a 2800 in some of these other decks? It's actually pretty hard with if you only have just your monster, just your skill. Sometimes that's not enough. Hero. When you're playing Hero, if you go Flame Wingman, skill, target Twin, you still can't clear it. You can't clear Twin like that. You need the other cards to clear Twin. I mentioned this in my Hero video. I'm going to plug the Hero video again. Rush Rundown Hero, watch it, please. I mentioned it there. Hero cannot clear Cyber Twin, or Cyber End for that matter, but no one is summoning Cyber End, let's be honest. Hero cannot clear them without seeing Rising Hero Tantalum, and some people don't even play him in the Rush Hero deck. I do, some other people don't. And I cannot believe it. They must have a 0% win rate against Cyber Dragon without Tantalum. I'll tell you that for free. But yeah, Cyber Dragon is so crazy. It is so insanely crazy. And it is pretty free to play, to be honest. A lot of people from the update got the Cyber Dragon cards just for the free rolls. As well, the structure deck is pretty damn cheap, so you already have so many of the tools just at your disposal just from starting. Anyway, the other reason I'm calling it tier 0 is because load in ranked and see what you face. It is 90% Cyber Dragon, and there's a tiny 0.01% of people playing Hero, and that's just me. This is the list. I just want to say hi to everyone who skipped to this point in the video. Hello, this is the list. And then to everyone else who watched the entire video through to listen to me yap for what is probably going to end up being around 20 minutes. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and if there is a deck included on this list that you would like to see me break down in a Rush Rundown, go ahead, leave that in the comments. If there is something I missed, if there is a deck I left off, leave that in the comments. I read every comment, of course. I barely get any in the first place. So, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Why not? I get, 10 views, and not every person of those 10 is subscribed. YouTube Analytics says all my 9 of my 10 views are not returning viewers. They're all first time. So if you're watching this for the very first time, go ahead, subscribe. And I'm going to keep making these endings longer until people subscribe to the channel. I am going to zoom in on Snow's face for at least 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time, because I'm telling you to subscribe to the channel and to like the video. That's it from me. I'm done. You're free to go. Goodbye. Subscribe, watch the other videos, like them, tell your friends, play Rush. Bye.